Today I wanted to talk a little bit about forgiveness, because I feel like that's kind of one of the hardest things to do, especially when you feel really betrayed by somebody. When someone has done something so destructive, so hurtful, I mean, so horrific to your relationship, to your livelihood, to, just absolute, complete revenge. Let's put it that way. Coming out of a place of hatred, coming out of a place of just pure toxicity. And we all know that kind of forgiveness, which is unthinkable. It's like you can't even wrap your head around it. You can't even fathom forgiving that person. But like, you have to forgive them, because if you don't, then you'll be this bitter, angry, resentful person for the rest of your life. And that's no way to live. That's no way to be, to be this sad, horrific reliving of events over and over in your mind, constantly holding on to the past, constantly holding on to what happened to you, never letting it go, the mistakes you made, how you could have done them differently, not forgiving yourself, the guilt. You feel stupid, possibly, naive, there's so many degrees of that, to like the smallest silly thing, by making a bad investment and losing some money, to, or getting scammed by, buying something that wasn't real or something like that, to something so huge and so devastating that it's unthinkable. It's pure horror. And it weighs on our hearts, and it weighs on our souls. And if you hold on to that grief and that pain, all they do by holding on to that, those people that did that stuff to you, those people that inflicted that pain upon you, those toxic individuals, all that does is allow them to control you. It allows them to win. It allows them to take more moments of time in your life that you're never going to get back. Seconds. Precious, priceless moments in time that you're never, ever going to get back. That's all it's going to do. And they win. They win. They control the narrative. So, I have to say that and this is a hard one. It's not like it's an easy fix. It's not like it's something that you can just turn your mind on and to this thought process and it's going to happen, Because if that's the case, then we would just easily do it, right? We would all just have no problem. But sometimes I feel like, and I don't want, and I'm gonna just say like, I'm just gonna take a little moment here, because I know I'm sitting here and I'm quite aware that I'm a Caucasian female delivering this message. And you might have no idea what I've been through over the past 24 months. But you might think that I don't know what hatred is. You might think that I don't know what it's like to not fit into a group, or have lies and rumors spread about me, or what it's like to be accused of things that I didn't do, or assaulted, invasion of privacy, treated like I was insane, like I was incompetent. What it felt like to lose everything I owned after 25 years. You may think that I have no clue. What it feels like to think that the fear that someone's coming to hurt the only thing that you care, the only things that you care about, to take them away, which are my 10 cats, to have sleepless nights that months on end, to ask for help, to plead, to beg, and to have nobody show up. And to be so afraid. To be so afraid and in so much pain, because all I wanted was somebody to love me. And all I wanted was to matter to somebody. I just wanted to matter to somebody. I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted someone to love me. And I couldn't understand that I would give all this love out and nobody could give it back. I didn't understand. I didn't get it. And every time somebody promised that they would come into my life, they would just disappear or not show. And it was so painful. And they would take things after I just gave them to them. And I put them over me over and over and over again. And that was the reason is I kept putting them over me. I kept prioritizing everybody else's needs over my own. I finally came to the realization, after listening to a lot of people about how to forgive, and they would talk about forgiveness, and some would say things like, like it comes from like your higher self, and you don't have to actually go to the person and say, I forgive you, and have this big moment, which is true, you don't, right? And if you're gonna wait around for somebody to come like that around to you and say, I'm sorry for what I did, you're gonna be waiting forever, right? So obviously I gave up with that. But to be honest, I don't know if I feel safe having those people in my energy space ever again. I don't know, people change. But at this point, I have no idea. But with that being said, I started to think about that along with triggers and forgiving myself. And I thought, first I have to forgive myself, because I was so angry at myself. I was so mad at myself for allowing people to be so horrific, and me just assuming that, being so desperate almost to allow them to treat me like that, to be like I was like a golden retriever puppy, and I just kept coming back for more abuse, just wanting more love. And when I talked to my therapist about it, he was like, you shouldn't be sad or apologetic because you wanted to be loved. That's not something to be sorry for. And I was like, he's right. Everybody wants love and compassion. Everybody wants that. That's why I do that morning stuff, morning lives, or any time of the day lives, because how important it is to have that kind of daily support with people. So we talked about how I shouldn't feel bad about being open again to wanting it, to having the desire for that was on them. That was on them for being like that and treating me like that and being so ill-tempered that they would take advantage of a person like that or treat a person like that. And of course you're going to react a certain way when you're treated terribly. You're going to lash out. And I lashed out because I had PTSD the whole time, and I had irregulated emotions, and I know that. And I also was most likely fawning, and if I haven't discussed what fawning is, it's like, it's playing with the tiger. It's like, you run from the tiger, you fight the tiger, or you play with the tiger, because you're doing that for so long that now you're like, oh, I've done this for so long. I'm so comfortable. I'm so comfortable with this trauma experience of fear, that now I'm feeling comfortable in this frightened state. My body does. So now I can start introducing more adrenaline, like you like that feeling of it, so you start to play with it. You start to let me play with it. Let me take one toy, basically. If it was a cat, let me see what would happen. And that's why you keep going in this vicious cycle back and forth again and again and again, and for more punishment. And it takes a lot of self recognition to like, or reflection to like look at yourself and be like, whoa, what is going on here? And with that being said, that happens because of the trauma, right? Like, I can't say that I wouldn't be still doing that cycle, that hamster wheel of overgiving and feeling unfulfilled and being bitter and sad and upset and hopeless and not having a thrive for life if it wasn't for what happened to me, the trauma. And I'm not saying go out there and go get the trauma. I'm not saying that. Like, I wouldn't be like, yes, go get traumatized. By no means, right? But use it when it comes. Take advantage of it when it comes. Because it's a gift. So, and maybe that gift, and I know that's really hard to say when it's something so painful. I know when I'm saying, in hindsight, it's so, you think about it and you think of all the horrific things that could happen, of traumatic things that could happen to somebody. And then me saying that, it seems so slighted and frivolous. So I'm saying that with weighted words, and I'm saying that with time. Obviously, after you have time to grieve, obviously, if you have time to overcome all those emotions and you have time to heal. But instead of holding that in your heart for decades upon decades upon decades of how somebody betrayed you, and then just keep reliving this trauma, keep reliving this horrific thing that people have done to you. Think about it as a blessing and try to realize that it broke a cycle, because you can create the life that you want to live now. You can start over. You can build the foundation again. You can live life like you've never lived it before. And if it's for somebody that's not here, that's the trauma. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Somebody that's not in your life, I'm so sorry. But allow it to provide you moments that will bring you so much joy that you wish they were there to share it with. Because they might be. If that's what you believe. They might not be if that's what you don't believe. The other seems more nice, right? And well, I think they would want that. I mean, they'd want you to be happy. They'd want you to live a beautiful life. And it came to that kind of thought process with triggers, you know, with that whole thought process of triggers, and maybe the triggers were coming up and I was trying to avoid them because I didn't want to get hurt, right? I didn't want to redo stuff. But then sometimes the triggers would come up and then I'd get to relive those experiences again and handle it a different way. And I would realize that, oh, it went differently this time, right? So I was able to heal whatever happened in the past. Situations were different, you know? And I think that if we can maybe get to that kind of place, that a lot of peace and healing could happen. And because of that, we would stop segregating ourselves away from other people. We would stop looking for everybody's faults. We would stop feeling like the whole world was out to hurt us. And maybe we might just not feel so lonely. But it would require a process of healing and acceptance. So I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on the matter, and post them below. How you help work through forgiveness, triggers, and things like that. Thanks so much for listening.